My name is Craig Olenberger. I'm a member of the Grandview Woodlands Area Council who's putting this on. So just to frame it for everyone here, the Gateway Program is a massive, complex initiative planned by the government here. In its simplest form, it's a massive increase in the road infrastructure in the Lower Mainland, the creation of the South Fraser Perimeter Road, the creation of the North Fraser Perimeter Road, the expansion or almost doubling of Highway 1 from Vancouver out to Langley, the twinning of the Port Mann Bridge. Those two issues, of course, being very key to us here in East Vancouver and the effects of them. And a big part of it is, the reason for it is to service a planned port expansion, or really a doubling of the port capacity, and all the potential impacts that has. Obviously, I don't need to explain the potential impacts of road building and port expansion to you guys, but it's, you know, there's damage to marine ecosystems. There's air pollution from the boats and container traffic, the truck traffic. There's the use of the agricultural land reserve and paving over good, productive agricultural land. There's going to be excursions into Burns Bog and further damage to Burns Bog, which is already in a tough state in many respects and threatened on a variety of fronts. There's damage to the migratory flyways for a variety of birds, and particularly a number of threatened species of birds that is an international flyway that we have a duty to maintain. There's just a myriad of problems with this, and the worst of them, above all in my mind, is that this is a $3 billion boondoggle waiting to happen. And it's not going to solve any problems. They're going to expand this road infrastructure, trying to move congestion from one place to another, essentially, but not actually solve the problem. It's been demonstrated time and time again. Numerous experts have been on the record saying that you cannot build your way out of transportation gridlock. Particularly, the problems we all hear about the problems ahead of the Port Mann Bridge on the other side of the river. We know it's a hard situation for those south of the river, but what can we do about it? Building this project and expanding the highway and twinning the bridge is only going to make the problem worse, and that's been documented and demonstrated time and time again by study after study.
Thank you. I just want to start out with putting this into a context that I think you're probably all aware of, very, very aware of, which is the climate crisis, which has really become the defining issue of our time, and maybe it's the defining issue of our age. Every politician in the land, from left to right, is now running around trying to find things that they can do to at least make it look like they're doing something about climate change. And in this neighborhood, I'm really proud to say that this campaign started out from the very beginning, not just focusing on the really negative impacts that freeway expansion would have on this neighborhood, but also focusing on the global effects of climate change and the regional effects of air pollution, which largely concentrated in the Fraser Valley. That is, we started out with this campaign as a nowhere on planet Earth. Freeways don't make any sense in any urban area. It's not a NIMBY campaign. And in the context of this, the climate crisis, recently our provincial government has gone through a massive conversion. They've set a very strong goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions in BC by 33% by 2020. To put this in perspective, in the Lower Mainland, transportation emissions, on-road transportation emissions, are about 40% of our emissions. The Ministry of Highways projects that if Gateway goes ahead, our on-road emissions will increase by about 31% by 2020. That would make it virtually impossible to meet the provincial goal. We have two provincial policies. One is freeway expansion, the Gateway program, and another is reducing greenhouse gas emissions. One of them has to go. We do actually have, however, the beginnings of what could be a plan for reducing our emissions in the region. The Greater Vancouver Regional District did a study and put out a discussion paper suggesting that if we took really strong action now, including a large expansion of public transit, that we could reduce our transportation emissions by 45% by 2020. This is the kind of action that we need to take in the region, and this is the community where we can start that kind of action. The kind of transit solutions that this means are the kind of things that have been done in the cities that have the best public transit in the world. Cities like Zurich, Switzerland, which has the highest transit ridership in Europe. What they did was they just decided that they were tired of their streetcars being stuck in traffic. And they gave almost all the streetcars dedicated transit lanes. Nothing fancy, just a little bit of paint that says transit lane or bus lane. They also cut transit fares in half over a 10-year period. Of course, the transit service, what happened was that transit service became quicker, more convenient, and cheaper than driving. So most people who own cars, they leave them in their garages. They take the streetcar, the bus, when they go to work. They bring their BMW out to show it off on Friday night and drive to the restaurant, but they're not going to go and sit in traffic to try to get to work. Why would you? To me, the interesting thing about this is something that they started in the 1970s when no one was even really taking climate change seriously. They did it to make their community a pleasant, livable place. Right now, we have to do something like this. In order to deal with the climate crisis, this is the kind of action that we have to take. I just want to wrap up by thanking Susanna Anton for her motion at the GVRD to strongly oppose the expansion of Highway 1.
There was a motion. There's been two motions that I've been involved with. One is at City Council to unanimously oppose the twinning of the Port Mann Bridge, and then the other one at GVRD was to strongly oppose the twinning of the bridge. And thank you for clapping for that, but I'll just let you know that the motion only passed by a handful of votes, so it was actually kind of funny to have it strongly opposed by a majority of about 4 people. So I learned something from that, which is it's better not to put the adjective in because the strongly isn't actually exactly true. It was opposed, but perhaps not strongly, even though that's the wording that came out. I think that I believe that and I'm sorry that I think TransLink dropped the ball over the years in not being more proactive in putting transit back onto the Port Mann Bridge, in building the queue jumper lanes, and making sure that there were buses on that route. And I think that where the provincial government didn't do what it should have done is I think it needed to ask 2 questions. First of all, do we need another crossing? And then if so, what kind of crossing do we need? I'm inclined to think the answer to do we need another crossing is probably yes. But what should go on that crossing, where should it go, and what's its purpose? I think that's the very interesting question.